Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Poland's Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki has pointed out that the recent events at the border are not a migration crisis, but a political one which was triggered in order to destabilize the situation across the European Union. He also stated that Poland may close additional border crossings if the Belarusian regime continues to escalate the situation.
We
must also talk about completely blocking flights to Belarus, because this is just an instrument in the hands of Belarus. We need to initiate diplomatic actions from the European Union in the Middle Eastern capitals. The President of the European Council, Michel, has said he is visiting Poland because he wanted to express the European Union's solidarity with the country. He added that the bloc is considering the possibility of placing additional sanctions on Minsk. He also spoke about whether the European Union could finance the construction of border walls on its external border.
If we want to be effective, to be concrete, to be operational, we think it's important to explain very well to the origin countries and to the transit countries what are the consequences of their policy. It's also important to explain to the airlines what are the concrete effects of their decisions in this system and, in fact, in the launch of a hybrid attack against the EU. And if we are not able to convince with our arguments, we must be ready to decide concrete and operational sanctions, because we need to be firm. What's happening is serious.
Minister of Defence Mateusz said that last night there were further attempts to penetrate the Polish-Belarusian border. While 2 days ago we had one large group concentrated near Kuźnica Białostocka, and there was such an attempt to force the border, now we are dealing with smaller groups, although numerous, which are attacking the border in parallel. The Polish authorities detained 3 people yesterday, 4 people smuggling.
And it is not only Poland that is trying to stem an onslaught of migrant caravans. One of the largest such caravans in recent times is advancing through Mexico on its way to the United States southern border. It has now reached the state of Oaxaca after having clashed with and broken through police lines in recent days.
The migrant caravans coming from Central America and passing through Mexico are now passing through the southern state of Oaxaca on their way to the United States border. The caravan, which left the Chuajites municipality, is headed towards Mexico City. Caravan organizer and director of the Pueblos Sin Fronteras NGO, Irenia Muicha, told Reuters that the caravan will meet with migrants willing to join them in Veracruz. They will join a second caravan that will leave Coatzacoalcos. If it is necessary, as a caravan will go to fetch them in Veracruz. They will join a second caravan. They have 9 days to get organised and leave with a caravan that isn't headed towards Mexico City. We have tried everything legal to get this administration to respect our human rights and not to treat us like animals anymore. That is the reason why we are going to the northern border, to Sonora, to a shelter where I am, where everyone is welcome. The Ombudsman's office in Oaxaca had requested local institutions to adopt measures to safeguard the integrity, dignity and human rights of migrants, and said they will send an observation mission to the area. During a checkpoint on the highway, Venezuelan migrant Pedro Salazar stated that he, his wife, his daughter and mother-in-law were offered by the authorities a permit that would allow them to travel through Mexico for a year. Salazar and his family accepted the offer. We are being offered a permit, like a card, to be able to move around Mexico for 1 year. Since we are tired, we accepted. Last week, immigration advocates reported about large-scale clashes between the Mexican National Guard and the migrant caravan in the state of Chiapas.
Nicaragua's President Daniel Ortega has called the European Parliament Nazi and fascist after winning his 4th consecutive term as president. The European Union has stated that the election was neither fair nor transparent.
The statements came after the European Parliament said the elections in the Central American country lacked legitimacy. In a speech that lasted more than an hour on Monday evening, Ortega fired back against the United States and Europe, labelling them Yankee imperialists. The Spanish leaders should recap, reflect, because the Spanish people do know. They keep behaving as colonizers, descendants of Francoism. They are the children of Franco, the ones that are still left, and most of the European Parliament are fascists, Nazis. That is why there is so much hate against the people who fight for independence, because we continue fighting to defend our sovereignty. Of his jailed opponents, Ortega said, "Those who are in prison are not Nicaraguan. They stopped being Nicaraguan a long time ago." Ortega has earned the rejection of various international leaders, including United States President Joe Biden, for imprisoning nearly 40 leading opposition figures since May.
The United Kingdom has backed a $550 million Rolls-Royce funding round to develop the country's first small modular nuclear reactor. in a drive to reach net zero carbon emissions and promote a new technology with export potential. The news follows a trend seen among large companies across the continent attracted by the new technology amid rising energy prices.
As large-scale new nuclear projects have struggled for funding, the United Kingdom is now banking on smaller-scale versions. Small modular reactors, or SMRs, can be made in factories with parts small enough to be transported on trucks and barges and assembled more quickly and cheaply than large-scale reactors. Each mini-plant is able to produce power for over 1 million homes. Rolls-Royce forecasts that the SMR business could create up to 40,000 jobs.
I think this represents a fantastic opportunity for people in the UK, but particularly people in the region. Small modular reactors, very much cutting-edge technology. They give us baseload, they give us the ability to have a secure energy supply, and also critically, it means something like 40,000 well-paid jobs in this area.
The United Kingdom wants to reduce power generated from gas, a desire strengthened by this year's dramatic price rise, which has resulted in several small energy suppliers going bust. The SMRs will be available by the early 2030s.
And the investment that we are putting in as a government is more than matched by the private sector. So we're putting in £210 million to drive this technology, but the other investors that I met just this morning are putting in £250 million. It represents a huge vote of confidence in the UK.
The new funding will enable SMR technology to take the next steps through the United Kingdom's regulatory process and identify sites for plants which will be about the size of 2 soccer pitches.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.